The words cut sharper than the glass walls behind her. Stay in your place. Charlotte Wynne said it calmly, almost politely. That was the worst part. The boardroom on the 47th floor of Wintech went silent, the kind of silence that presses against your ears until you can hear your own heartbeat. Executives froze mid-breath. Assistants stared at their tablets. The city sprawled below them in steel and light, indifferent to the moment unfolding above it. Ethan Morales stood near the door, one hand still gripping the strap of his worn messenger bag. His other hand hovered awkwardly at his side, like he wasn't sure where it belonged in a room this expensive. He had come to deliver documents. That was all. But now every eye was on him. Charlotte didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Her tailored blazer sat perfectly on her shoulders. Her hair was pulled back tight, not a strand out of place. Control radiated from her like perfume. You're a contractor, she continued, tone crisp. Not staff. Not leadership. Definitely not family. Don't speak unless you're asked. Ethan swallowed. I was just answering the question you asked, he said quietly. She smiled without warmth. I wasn't asking you. Across the table, a 13-year-old boy stared at her. Lucas Wynne. Her son. He sat stiffly in the leather chair beside her, hands clenched in his lap. He had been dragged into the meeting because Charlotte believed exposure to power should start early. He wore a blazer he hated and shoes that pinched his feet. He had watched his mother dismiss people before. But never like this. Never so cold. Never someone who looked like Ethan. Someone tired. Someone kind. Someone who had smiled at him earlier in the hallway and asked how his math test went. Charlotte turned back to the board, already moving on. Now, as I was saying. Lucas stood up. The chair scraped loudly against the marble floor. Mom, he said. She stopped mid-sentence. Surprise flickered across her face. Lucas, sit down. No, he said, voice shaking. You were rude. The room stiffened. Charlotte's eyes hardened. We'll talk later. Lucas looked at Ethan. Then back at his mother. I don't want to. A few executives shifted uncomfortably. Ethan stared at the floor, wishing desperately he could disappear. Charlotte leaned down to her son, lowering her voice. You don't understand how the world works yet. Lucas swallowed. I understand enough. She straightened, jaw tight. Ethan, you can leave. Ethan nodded quickly. Of course. I'm sorry. As he turned, Lucas spoke again. He didn't do anything wrong. Charlotte's voice snapped. Lucas. The boy's eyes filled with tears, but he didn't look away. I don't want to be like you, he said. The sentence landed like a bomb. Charlotte froze. The room held its breath. Ethan stepped out, heart pounding, unaware that the moment he just witnessed was only the surface of something much deeper. Something that had been building for years. Something that began long before that boardroom. Long before Charlotte became a CEO. Long before Ethan became a single father just trying to survive. It began in a quieter place. A memory. A flashback. 10 years earlier, Ethan Morales stood in a hospital hallway that smelled like antiseptic and grief. His wife, Sophia, lay in a bed behind a curtain, her chest rising shallowly, machines whispering warnings no one wanted to hear. Complications during childbirth. Words doctors said gently, as if softness could soften reality. Their newborn son, Mateo, slept in a plastic bassinet nearby. Sophia looked at Ethan with tired eyes and managed a small smile. You're going to be such a good dad, she whispered. He shook his head, tears spilling freely. We're going to do this together. She reached for his hand, squeezing weakly. Promise me something. Anything. Teach him to be kind, she said. Even when it's hard. Those were her last words. Ethan buried her 3 days later. And he kept that promise every day after. Back in the present, as Ethan rode the elevator down from the 47th floor, he had no idea that the boy who defended him would soon face a choice that would change both their lives forever. And that the woman who told him to stay in his place was about to lose far more than control. School. Ethan's place, according to the world, was small. A 2-bedroom apartment above a laundromat that rattled at night. A second-hand couch with one broken leg propped up by old textbooks. A kitchen table scarred with crayon marks and coffee rings. Life held together with effort and hope. Matteo sat at that table now, swinging his legs, doing homework while Ethan cooked arroz con pollo from a recipe Sophia's mother had written out years ago. "How was work, Dad?" Matteo asked. Ethan smiled. "Busy. How was school?" Matteo groaned. "We had a pop quiz. And I passed," he said proudly. Ethan ruffled his hair. "I knew you would." That night, after Matteo went to bed, Ethan logged onto his laptop. Freelance contracts. Temporary assignments. Always just enough. He had been hired by WinTech through a third-party agency to handle compliance documentation. Boring work. Invisible work. But he did it well. He always did. Because people depended on him. A week later, Ethan was assigned to help coordinate a charity outreach program WinTech was sponsoring, an initiative meant to improve the company's public image. He was to liaise between departments, nothing more. That's how he ended up running into Lucas again. The boy sat alone in the company cafeteria, poking at an expensive salad like it had personally offended him. "Hey," Ethan said gently. "Mind if I sit?" Lucas looked up, surprised. Then nodded. They ate in silence for a moment. "You didn't deserve that," Lucas blurted. Ethan paused. "Deserve what?" "What my mom said," Lucas said quietly. "She does that. Makes people feel small." Ethan studied the boy's face. He looked lonely. Older than 13. Tired in a way kids shouldn't be. "It's okay," Ethan said. "Sometimes people forget how their words sound." Lucas frowned. "I don't want to forget." Something warmed in Ethan's chest. They talked about school. About soccer. About how Lucas missed his dad, who lived overseas and barely called. About how his mom worked all the time. "My dad makes pancakes on Sundays," Matteo would later tell Lucas when they met. "He burns them but pretends it's on purpose." Lucas laughed harder than he had in weeks. The boys bonded easily. Ethan didn't realize how much Lucas had been starving for something simple. Kindness. Normalcy. Someone who listened. One afternoon, Lucas showed up at Ethan's apartment door unexpectedly. "I ran away," he announced. Ethan's heart leapt. "Lucas." "I didn't really," the boy said quickly. "I just needed to be somewhere else." Ethan let him in. They sat on the couch. Matteo played video games nearby. The air felt lighter than the marble halls of WinTech ever did. "She treats everything like a transaction," Lucas said softly. "If I'm not perfect, I'm a problem." Ethan listened. Didn't interrupt. Didn't fix. Just listened. That night, Lucas fell asleep on the couch during a movie. Ethan covered him with a blanket. In that quiet moment, he made a decision without realizing it. He would always choose kindness. Even if it cost him. The next day, Charlotte found out where her son had gone. And she was furious. Charlotte Wynne did not lose control often. But when she did, it was catastrophic. She arrived at Ethan's apartment unannounced, heels clicking sharply against the cracked pavement outside the laundromat. Her driver waited by the car, eyes forward. She knocked once. Hard. Ethan opened the door. "Where is my son?" she demanded. Lucas appeared behind Ethan, shoulders tense. "I'm here," he said. Charlotte swept past Ethan like he wasn't there, eyes scanning the apartment with thinly veiled disdain. "This is where you bring him," she snapped. "This dump." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Please don't." "Stay out of this," she said sharply, then turned to Lucas. "Get your things." "I don't want to," Lucas said. Charlotte laughed humorlessly. "You don't get to decide that." "Yes, I do," Lucas said, voice shaking but firm. Charlotte turned on Ethan. "What did you say to him?" "Nothing," Ethan said. "He just needed space." "You manipulated him," she accused. "You people always do." The words hung heavy. Lucas flinched. Ethan felt something crack inside him. I've done nothing but be kind to your son, he said quietly. You should thank him for telling you how he feels instead of punishing him. Charlotte's eyes flashed. I don't take parenting advice from contractors. She turned to Lucas. If you don't come now, I'll make sure he never works in this city again. Lucas stared at her. Then at Ethan. Then he said the words that shattered the room. I choose him. Silence. Charlotte stared, stunned. What? I choose him, Lucas repeated, tears streaming. He listens. He cares. He doesn't make me feel like a mistake. Charlotte's face twisted, not with anger, with humiliation. You will regret this, she said coldly. She left. And the injustice came swiftly. Ethan's contracts were terminated. Calls went unanswered. His name quietly blacklisted. Friends stopped responding. Bills piled up. Lucas stayed. And despite the struggle, something felt right. They were a family. Even if the world tried to punish them for it. School. The reveal came unexpectedly. A court summons. Charlotte had filed for full custody, accusing Ethan of manipulation and neglect. The courtroom buzzed with whispers as she sat confidently beside her attorneys. Ethan sat alone. Lucas squeezed his hand. Then the judge spoke. Before we proceed, the judge said, I'd like to review the submitted evidence. Screens lit up. Recordings. Messages. Emails. Charlotte's private communications, leaked by a whistleblower within her own company. Messages detailing how she used her influence to blacklist Ethan. How she planned to teach Lucas a lesson. The courtroom gasped. Charlotte stood abruptly. This is inadmissible. The judge raised a hand. Sit down. Lucas spoke then. I want to stay with Ethan, he said. Because he treats me like a person. The judge nodded slowly. Decision rendered. Custody awarded. Charlotte lost more than the case. The scandal spread. Investors pulled out. The board forced her resignation. Justice didn't shout. It arrived quietly. Firmly. Irrevocably. School. 5 years later, sunlight poured through the windows of a modest but warm home. Ethan flipped pancakes. Lucas, taller now, helped Matteo with homework. Life wasn't perfect. But it was full. Charlotte watched a video online one evening. A story titled, The Boy Who Chose Kindness Over Power. It told of a CEO who lost everything because she forgot what mattered. And a single dad who gained a family by simply listening. The video ended with words on the screen. Kindness doesn't always win immediately. But it always wins eventually. Ethan turned off the TV, smiling as laughter filled the house. Because sometimes, staying in your place means choosing love over power. And that choice changes everything.